Tonight, this is Catlin Smith, and I'm going to give about maybe one more minute here, let some more of you guys come on the line, but thanks so much for being here, and I just wanted to just welcome you guys. So again, my name is Catlin Smith. I'm the Director of Programs over here at Empowered Entrepreneurs, and I've been working with Jonathan for going on 4 years, which is amazing and incredible to think about. And you guys are in for a real treat tonight. If there are any of you guys out there who don't know Jonathan's story or don't know Mark's story, I personally never get tired of hearing them. I find where these guys have come from so incredibly inspiring and just a real testament to the fact that, they're really not any different than all of us. And they just worked really hard to get where they are, and they never gave up. And so I'm excited to hear them speak from the heart tonight. So, one of the things that Jonathan says that the turning point in his career and in his success was when he created his first sales funnel. Right after he created his first sales funnel, he had his first, 6-figure month, and he's just, 5-figure month. Wouldn't that be awesome if it was a 6-figure month? His first 5-figure month, and he's really never looked back since. And so, Jonathan's going to share with you, all of his tricks and trades of sales funnel, and share with you his story, and you guys are in for a real treat. So again, thanks so much for letting me just say hello to you guys, welcome you, and enjoy the show. Jonathan, are you there? You ready to go?
Catlin, my dear, I am ready to go, and I love you so much. Have I told you that enough today?
Actually you have today, twice, I think, so that's awesome.
Great. Well, that's the third. So thank you so much, my dear. It's always an honor to be here with you, working side by side, making things happen. And it's always an honor to be sharing with all of you who are on the line here tonight. So welcome, everybody. It's super... I'm super glad that you're here. I'm super glad that you checked in for tonight's presentation, or for tonight's discussion, and for tonight's teaching, because this teaching has really been revealed to me as probably, without a doubt, the number one most important one. And I think a lot of times we're bouncing all over the place trying to achieve one piece of a sales funnel, right? We're working on this piece over here, we're working on this piece over here, we're working on this piece over here. And the biggest complaint that I usually get from everybody is, I don't know where this is going. It just doesn't seem coherent. I don't see how all the pieces connect. I don't know how all the dots connect. I need help with this piece. But there's almost, just because there's a lack of clarity, really a lack of clarity around how all the pieces connect and how it actually ends up, you making money, that we feel shut down, and we feel struggle, and we feel like we just don't really want to go on, and that it's pointless, and we need to, to do more stuff to figure it out. And so the intention for tonight is to really make it utterly clear what a sales funnel is, and what the number one skill that all the people who make money on the internet have is, what it actually is in total and obvious clarity. And the intention is also, to really work with, we're looking at about 25 of you. So by no stretch of the imagination is that a big group, and obviously, that part of the presentation is not going to be for everybody. We're really looking to work with about 25 more people. We're putting together a mastermind right now. In fact, we have sort of put together a mastermind where we're creating a fairly intimate mastermind group that is 100%, like no man, woman, child left behind, going to complete building their first sales funnel in the next 90 days. So we're looking at starting a 90-day challenge where we all work very intimately together in a mastermind group style fashion to complete each piece of the sales funnel with the support of one another, with the support of our team, with the support of me and Mark, and all of us actually convene live at the end of the 90 days at a 3-day workshop and boot camp where we put the final touches, we put the final pieces together, and everybody walks out of that boot camp with really a masterpiece sales funnel done, ready to start cranking cash, ready to start taking money in. And that's really the moment right there when that happens, when that final piece is done and your payment system is actually set up and you've tested that damn thing and you run a test order through it and you get that first transaction, that first money comes through the internet to you or whatever it may be. That is the moment where this becomes livable, where now all of a sudden your livelihood, your dreams, your goals can really be fulfilled. It comes when your buy button is live. But the thing is just most people never get to actually having a buy button or getting their buy button live. So, like I've been talking about in my emails, guys, I've been pretty intent that who we want to work with right now is really the very committed individuals, right? So again, this is not for everybody. It's really for you if you're at that level of commitment where you just have to get this done, where it's just not acceptable anymore for this not to be done. In my experience in the industry, I've seen this time and time again. I'll tell you right now, take this one to heart, because it's not enough to just have a good intention for starting your business. It's not enough to just say, you know what, this sounds like a great idea. I want to do it. I'm going to do it, right? That's not really enough, because what happens is we're faced with so many challenges, really, and obstacles, and really this awkward, uncomfortable time of learning new skills. And somehow as adults, we lost that capacity in a way that a lot of us had when we were infants to really just kind of struggle through and commit ourselves no matter what and just learn how to walk. And the analogy that I like to use is, could you imagine when you were, a year and a half old or whatever it is, if you quit trying to walk the first time you fell down or after the fifth time you fell down? I mean, you wouldn't know how to walk. But we don't do that. We get up over and over and over again, and somehow we lost that ability that we were innately born with the older we got. And so what I've seen in my experience is that until somebody really reaches that point, that absolute point where something clicks in them and they go, you know what? That's it. I can't take this anymore. I don't give a crap how many times I fall down. I'm going to get back up if this kills me. I'm going to do this if this kills me. I have to do this. Because otherwise, what I see is that once somebody falls down once, and they fall down again, and they fall down again, they're like, nope, I'm out. That's it. I fell down 3 times. Screw this. I'll crawl. I'll crawl. I don't need to walk. I will crawl through life. And it's just funny because imagine if we did that when we were kids. So in any case, that's sort of just the intention of the evening. You're definitely in for a treat. I'm going to keep this as succinct as possible, but I just have a tremendous amount to share. So let's get into it. Sales funnel implementation mastery, my friends. This is the skill of all skills. It's the end-all, be-all of really making money online. It really comes down to your sales funnel, and I'm going to get into what exactly all the pieces of your sales funnel are in just a second, and kind of how it all works and what the numbers are that you're really looking for, and each one of those pieces, etc. So this is just pretty much saying pay attention, because we're going to be covering some amazing stuff here tonight. And again, the opportunity that we have, for this mastermind group that we're putting together is really quite phenomenal. And if that's for you, then believe me, you are in for one heck of a treat, because when everybody really just partners up together and in the group, in a mastermind, and the power of relying on each other and keeping up they're accountable, that's truly when I think human beings we shine. We really just call forth our greatest strengths, our greatest skills, our greatest determination. But when it's just us, when we're by ourselves, with no real accountability, sitting behind a computer, believe me, I sympathize with you. It's hard. It's miserable. So it's just really important that we put ourselves in a community as quick as possible and really surround ourselves with an alliance of people and a mastermind group of some sort, so that we really have the support we need and the accountability we need to move forward. And that's something we all have to do. So I briefly want to discuss the pyramid of skill, right, before we get into sales funnels. And this is where I really want to share my story with you. because I realized that, people know bits and pieces of my story, but they don't really know the full story. People don't really know the extent of what you have to go through and what I had to go through to really create your breakthrough success. And, how does it actually happen? A lot of times people see me out there and they have this total misconception. They project this image on me of how they think I got, where I am or who they think I am. And the reality is it's all BS, right? The truth is that I am exactly like every single one of you, was in exactly the same shoes as every single one of you, went through more or less probably exactly the same struggles. And we forget this all the time. We forget, the real knowledge. We forget the real principles that really allow breakthrough success to happen and results to happen. And I think you'll find those contained within my story. And so, here's what happened to me. I was pitched on my first, and just, before I get into my story, just allow yourself to be totally focused and present here. One of the things that's really important anytime you're on a presentation like this, and, I'm really going to be sharing a heck of a lot of information with you, is you want to be present, so get rid of distractions, kind of shut the door, like tell people in your family or your spouse or whatever it may be that, you really need some you time right now to really focus and concentrate on your life and your goals and your future and where things are going for you and what's next for you, and that this is important for you this time right now. And so get present and just really, be able to take in everything that I'm going to share with you, because I promise it has exponential value. All of the information that you hear, it's so amazing how sometimes, we get a piece of information and it's for us right now with where we're at in life. And we are like, oh my goodness, I need to go do something with that right now. And then other times, it's not until 6 months later that all of a sudden that piece of information we heard 6 months ago, just we're ready for it. We're ready for it then. And it kicks in and we go, oh my God, that's what he meant. And we have this break. So I'm telling you right now, I'm about to share, collective wisdom and knowledge from, 6 to 7 years of doing this industry at the maximum capacity it can be done and earning over $17 million. So believe me, there's going to be, exponential ways to make use of this information for yourself. So, what happened to me was when I was 21 years old, I got a call from my uncle, pitched on a network marketing opportunity for the first time, right? Now, at that point in my life, I was a 21-year-old kid, okay? I had dreadlocks. Most people don't know this, but I had dreadlocks past my shoulders. But I can't really say that they were dreadlocks because I was kind of lazy. And the second that my dreadlocks started becoming work, because I don't know if you know this, but it's a pain in the ass to have dreadlocks. Like, I used to have to, roll my hair with this beeswax, every night, before I went to bed, and every morning, 3 times a day, I'm rolling wax into my hair and trying to form it into these dreads, right? So unfortunately, after a few weeks, I quit because it was just such a pain in the ass. And my head ended up looking, the closest analogy I can come up with is a rat's nest. It literally looked like a rat had built its nest on top of my head. There was half of dreads. There was just fur everywhere. It was a mess.
Jonathan, I got to chime in right now. I can't wait anymore.
You can't.
There are pictures of this.
Mark Overson.
No pictures. And I am on a personal, and then I'm going to leave for a moment. I'm on a personal quest to find those pictures, and they will go public. Okay, I'm out.
No, Mark. Go back to wherever you just were and stay there, and do not share these pictures. You, Mark Overson, you. Anyways, my friends, Mark is he's going to be making an appearance here in just a little bit. But please don't try to find those pictures, Mark. In any case, so just picture me real quick, okay? I've got this rat's nest of dreadlock hair on my head. I'm in college. I'm just started my senior year of college. First month of starting my senior year of college. Everybody around me, okay? Imagine if you're a hippie with dreadlocks or whatever it is, you probably don't have the most motivated friends, do you? I mean, the only thing people were motivated to do was probably go, smoke or something. You know what I mean? So you don't really have, they're motivated to get unmotivated is kind of what they were motivated for. And so, this is my reality at the time, right? I have no network. The most successful person, I had literally ever known, was probably my mom's bosses, right? Some part of my mom's bosses who I had really no relationship or connection with. I just knew they probably made $200,000 a year. And that was the most successful human beings that were even like somewhere in my network in terms of financial value, because don't be mistaken, success really has nothing to do with how much money you make. But in terms of just money, those were the people I knew who made the most money, right? So I have no business connections. I have no business acumen, no mentorship, no network, nothing. And I get called up and pitched, and by the way, I'm probably the worst archetype to be successful in network marketing, walking around in $5 t-shirts with a rat's nest on my head and a bandana half the time. So anyways, I say yes, and I join my uncle's network marketing business. I cough up the $1,200, which is like unbelievable for a person in college who's a hippie and all this stuff. $1,200 is a bigger commitment than I can imagine a lot of you, or maybe it's akin to everything for you, okay? And I joined. And the very next day, I've got all my pothead friends and everybody else on a call, and they're all listening to the opportunity, and they're like shaking their heads. They're like, yeah, man, this is cool, man. Nobody joined. Wait, one person joined, right? But, of course, they didn't have the money, so they joined and they just bought the product. And I did manage to get like a few of my friends to join, right? And the first thing I learned was, holy crap, this didn't work like they said it was going to work. Like, supposedly I'm supposed to get, this guy to join and this guy to join and this guy to join, and then they get their 3 and they get their 3. Well, as we all know, nobody else got their 3, right? I went out and I literally found 3 people to like scrounge up some money to buy some vitamins and, get one business kit instead of the 5 business kits or whatever they wanted to sell you. And that was it. And so instantly, I was kind of left within 30 days. I had really exhausted my warm network, and there was really nobody else really left for me to call. So I'm thinking to myself, well, crap, what do I do now? And I start following every damn thing they told me how to do. So I went to all my friends and I said, look, can you give me a list of your top 20 most influential contacts? And, I didn't use the word influential. I think I probably just said, your top 20 people that you like the most or whatever it is. And I actually got one person to write down a list of their top 20 friends and give it to me. Could you imagine that? And I'll tell you right now, I would never, if somebody came to me and they were like, hey man, can you give me a list of your top 20, closest, best business contacts in the world so I can call them, pitch them on some opportunity and say you gave me their name and number? I don't think I would do that. But anyways, somebody did give it to me, and especially for somebody in my persona. And I'll tell you right now, it's not fun calling other people's best friends and trying to pitch them on an opportunity. They're just very confused, and I think they don't really know who to be mad at. They're like, wait a minute, should I be mad at you right now, or should I be mad at my friend? I'm just confused. I don't know who to be mad at, was more or less the experience. And so I do that, and that didn't work. And so then, all right, well, now what the hell do I do? My warm network's gone. I asked for referrals. Now what do I do? So I got the idea of cold calling doctors and therapists and all these people in phone books, right? So I started literally just going through the phone book, going through everywhere I could, and just cold calling chiropractors and doctors. And I mean, now it just seems like lunacy that any of them would ever really get on the phone with this like 21-year-old kid who's, talking about some life-changing vitamins and all this other stuff. But, I needed to learn that. I needed to learn that it was lunacy. I never got a single one of those people on the phone. So then I decided, well, maybe they won't respond to my phone calls, so I'll fax blast them. And I'll tell you, my friends, I caught the tail end of fax blasting, okay? By the time Jonathan Budd was ready to start spamming people through fax blasting, it was on the out. But nonetheless, we blasted faxes to all these different, chiropractor offices and dentist office. And I was trying to get, my company was Pharmanex, and at the time I was promoting this biophotonic scanner, and I was trying to get my scanner in these offices so that, people could sell vitamins, whatever the heck I was trying to do, right? But that's what I was trying to do. And what you'll be able to see, my friends, as you listen to this story and you look at this screen in front of you, you're looking at the pyramid of skill, okay? And I want you to just kind of pay attention to the evolution of my own skill. Just pay attention to the evolution of this entire process of what I actually had to go through to get to just the first stage of what I'll be talking and sharing about with you tonight, which is sales funnels. So just pay attention to it, right? And, kind of just look at this pyramid of skill, and I'll really break down and clarify what this pyramid of skill means in a little bit. So after I was done fax blasting them, apparently I thought, well, they won't really get on the phone with me. They won't really respond to my faxes. So why don't I just go door to door? Why don't I just start walking into some of these places? And I'll tell you, that was unbelievably uncomfortable, right? So, I remember walking into places and just they were just so upset that you're trying to literally take their time and waste their time, and you get these scowls. And I just ran out of half the places with my tail between my legs, rolling my scanner around. My dreadlocks are in a bandana. It just didn't work, right? Did I quit? No. Was I happy? No. This was pure misery. Every single thing I was doing was absolute misery. I had never failed more at anything in my entire life because I'd never really tried as hard at anything in my entire life. This was probably the most effort I had ever put into one concerted thing in my life, really, at this point. And so there was just this drive in me, right? That level of commitment I've been talking about, I don't really know how to describe it. There was just this drive. There was this commitment. It was like I just knew I had to do this. And really, it was because I had a vision. And without going fully into the story, my life had been saved many years earlier. I was in a very dark place in my life, and I had the potential of ruining my whole life. And an individual, a person, and a whole experience really saved my life. And so I always had this vision of giving back more to the world. I kind of felt like I had to. The world kind of gave me my life back. I felt like I owed it. So I always had this vision of doing bigger things, but I never had a means to do it. I never knew how I was actually going to do it. And I had this vision at the time that drove me, and it was starting a therapeutic center, really, for kids who had drug and alcohol problems or were going through really tough times or whatever it was. But if you were an adolescent and you had, if you were going through really tough times, I had a vision for starting a school, a center, kind of like what I got sent to, because I got sent to one of those centers, and it really helped me. It really kind of saved my life. And so I had this vision. I didn't know how it was ever going to happen. And when I found network marketing, it was like, oh my God, this really could be a gateway to making the money I need to just, start building something like that. If I actually get to $50,000 a month, then all of a sudden my vision is closer. And prior to that, I didn't have any way to do it. So it was really the only way that I knew it. So there was just this thing in me that was so committed because I knew I had to do this. I knew it was leading me to this vision. I didn't know how. I just knew that it was an instrumental part. So I didn't quit. Even though I'm miserable at this point, I don't quit. So what do I do next? Well, after door-to-door, cold calling, fax blasting, asking for referrals, and my one network hadn't really led me anywhere because I'm still the same person at the end of the day. I really hadn't developed any skills. I really hadn't built any value. What do you do next? So that's when I got the brilliant idea of going to shows, right? And what happened was this chiropractor, one day I was set up in the middle of my campus, and I was selling boxes of vitamins, or I was trying to sell vitamins or something in my community center at my campus. And this chiropractor was also set up giving adjustments or something. And he said, oh, you know what? A group of us have rented a booth in a mall, and, we'd be willing to give you a space there. It's $500 a day. It's 3 days. And, I think your scanner and everything would do really well. And so when I found out about this, I was like, oh my God. It was like this light bulb moment. It was like, that's it. That's what I need to do. I just need to put myself in the middle of Roosevelt Field Mall, Long Island, New York. Like if I'm in the middle of all those people with my little scanner, because what we do is we scan somebody's palm and we actually were able to read their antioxidant levels. Wow, that's how good network marketing companies are at freaking indoctrinating you, because I still say we. I have not been a part of this company or done anything with this company in 5 years, and I still say we. That's unbelievable. I want to like pay some homage right now to just the network marketing industry and those in Nu Skin, and many of these companies, because holy crap, I'm still saying we scan your palm, and wow, amazing. Anyway, sorry to go off on that tangent, but that was revolutionary to me. Anyways, we're scanning people's palms, doing all this stuff. So all of a sudden, I had built this entire world in my head of just how much money I was going to make after this weekend. Have you guys ever done that? Have you guys ever had an idea and you ever mapped out and you saw everything in your head of just how much money you were going to be making? Oh boy, that's a funny one. So anyways, I was calculated everything. I was like, we're going to be able to scan one person every 10 minutes, and one out of every 5 people is going to buy a box of vitamins, and with 8 hours in a day, that means we can do this and this. And I had it all mapped out to know that I was going to be making like, $7,000 a month after this weekend, all in residual income. So I go and I recruit a bunch of my pothead friends because I need some help. And I'm like, look, you guys got to come help me with this, weekend. I need you to, make these people fill in clipboards and help them get scammed and all this stuff. And I'll give you some money. And then I go to the thrift store because I don't have any clothes, right? I don't have any possible business, whatever. So I go to the thrift store and I get a $5 shirt, a $5 like button-down shirt, and a $6 pair of pants. It was literally like a $10 suit maximum. I had like my $10 business suit from the thrift store. I put my dreads in bandanas. I cut a $1,500 check to those chiropractors, which was just like, my life savings was dwindling away fast here. And I head into the Roosevelt Field Mall, Long Island, New York, as excited as you could possibly be. We set up our scanners, we're ready to freaking go. We've got all our posters everywhere. I made this big poster about what it was all about and our vitamins. And all of a sudden, people start coming in. And nobody was stopping. And I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute. But my calculations, it's been 10 minutes and nobody stopped. And then it had been 30 minutes and nobody stopped. And then it was been 60 minutes and the only person that had stopped at this point was like a little old lady who really seemed like she was mostly just completely befuddled at the clod of characters that had sort of, built themselves around this booth. And by the end of that hour, I realized that I had made a very terrible mistake, that I was very wrong about my calculations. And I sort of sunk into this depression. I kid you not, guys. I will never forget this moment. I sunk into my chair. My shoulders were just like hunched over my back. There was not a single bit of straightness in my spine. It was like my whole system was like struggling just to hold itself up. And I waddle over the chiropractor with this like totally defeated look on my face, like just the absolute crushed defeat, right? And I'm sort of like begging him a little bit, like, can we not come tomorrow, please? And can I get, my money back for those days and blah, blah, blah. I'll pay you for today. And the guy had so much sympathy. Like, he looked at me in just 1 second. He had so much sympathy. He just, out of guilt, I think he was like, yeah, whatever. That's no problem. So they ended up giving me at least some of my money back. I only had to pay for that one day. But I'll tell you, I got home and I crashed into my couch, my chair, and that was the closest moment in my life I ever came to quitting. The absolute closest moment. There was this thing in me that said, I don't want to do this anymore. I absolutely do not want to do this anymore. I'm over it. This is miserable. It doesn't work. It's miserable. I start blaming, whatever, it's bullshit. It doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to quit. I wanted out. I did not want to do it anymore. And I thank God for this moment, because if there's one gift that I've ever really gotten in my life, it's this little voice. And I know You guys know what I'm talking about. It's a little voice. And that little voice is got to be one of the greatest gifts that God has ever bestowed upon mankind when we listen to it. And I know you all know that we do not listen to it nearly enough. But there was this little voice that said, keep going. That's all it said. This little voice that just said, keep going. It was 2 words that I heard, keep going. And I spent a few days kind of just down in the dumps and depressed and sad, but little by little, I just dusted myself off. I picked myself back up, and the question on my mind was just, what's next? And so, by that point, I had started to, run completely out of any option that I really could think of, traditionally. And I actually went to MySpace. And, this was back when we all had our MySpace profiles, and I actually started posting classified ads on the MySpace classified section. And surprisingly enough, people started responding to the ads. And of course, they didn't have any idea what it was. They probably thought it was a job or whatever. But it was actually the first glimmer of hope that I had, because I actually was getting people to respond to these ads, and we were getting on calls. And not one call ever went anywhere. I never recruited anyone from or anything, but it just kind of was a little breadcrumb. You know how we get these breadcrumbs sometimes? And it just started making me think about the internet. And so then I went back to the internet, and I actually started searching for stuff. And I will never forget the day I was searching my own company's name, Farminex, and I saw there was a website in the search engines, and this was still when websites had this little ticker symbol for how many hits had come to the website, and it showed me this little ticker symbol that said 305,000. And it was like this light bulb went off in my head. I was like, 305,000 people have seen this website? And I was like, that's unbelievable. If I just had 1% of those people buy my bite, it's always just 1%, right? But nonetheless, if I just had 1% of those people, I would have had 3,000, and instantly my whole orientation changed. And all of a sudden my intention became, I want to use the internet. I don't know how, I don't know what it is, I don't know anything about it, but I want to use the internet. And I'll tell you, it's unbelievably powerful when that intention just forms within us, and when we actually all of a sudden begin to commit to some sort of path. So randomly, synchronistically, this intention forms within me. I know I want to use the internet. I don't know how, I don't know what it is, but I just know I want to use it. This was way before any online network marketing information ever existed, my friends. This was before really almost much marketing information existed, period, for our industry in a lot of ways. So there was no trainers out there. There was nothing. There was literally almost nothing back then. If you can imagine that today, there was just a blank canvas, which was kind of crazy. But this is 2006, and so randomly, I meet this person who just so happened to be a meditation instructor, and I had recruited this meditation instructor to come to my college campus to teach college kids meditation. And she was doing it for free, and it was all by donation, and she was just a really amazing person who really just wanted to help other kids and people learn how to meditate. And so she came in all the way from the city herself to do that, and one day when I was talking to her, lo and behold, her side project and side passion was internet marketing, if you can believe it or not. And she told me about this website called Traffic Swarm, okay? And this website, Traffic Swarm, was a click exchange. So what that essentially means was you click other people's websites and you get credits so that other people clicking websites will see your website. Now, that probably sounds confusing, and it is. And it's, believe me, not very high quality traffic, but it was the only hint I had. She told me, yeah, you should join this Traffic Swarm and you should click and get credits and other people will see your website. It's a way to get traffic. So I kid you not, my friends, by this point in my life, things had really started to crumble in a lot of ways. I was just leaving college, so the whole college year had passed. I had literally had no success whatsoever in almost anything. I don't know what I'm going to do. the year's over, so I really have no choice but to move back in with my parents. I move back in with my parents. A week after I move back in with my parents, I break up with my girlfriend who had, gone back in to live with her dad in Long Island or whatever it is. So I lose my girlfriend who was like the love of my life. I move back in with my parents. I'm separated from all of my friends because we're all split up all over the world, all over the country at that point. I can't hang out with any of my old friends because all my old friends are not doing stuff that's very good, and I didn't want to have anything to do with that lifestyle anymore. So I was completely in this zone where I was like, had nothing. I mean, nothing. I spent months and months and months sitting by myself in my parents' basement. Okay, just imagine this real quick. I'm in my parents' basement by myself with no friends, no idea what I'm going to do with my life, no idea how I'm going to make any money. 9 months of utter misery as my collective experience in trying to build a business for myself, and I'm in a dark basement clicking other people's ads every single day for 2.5 months to build credits for other people clicking ads for 2.5 months. Now, by a show of hands, real quick, just raise your hand if that sounds like it might have been a little bit difficult. If you can sympathize with where the hell I actually was in 2006, my friend, just click that little raise your hand button so I know you're listening here and you're still following me and all that good stuff, because thank you for those of you who are sympathizing. But it was not easy. It was not easy at all, my friends. I will tell you right now that those were not happy days. I was not happy. There was not much happiness. It was a lot of just really. It was such a dismal situation that I really didn't even want to think about it much. All I could do was focus on that next moment. All I could do was focus on that next moment. Just what is my next moment? And that's where all of my focus was, because I didn't really want to think about anything else. And so in that time period, I found somebody to build me a website for free. So the problem is when you find somebody to build you a website for free, well, it's generally on their terms. So it took 2.5 months to build this website for free. And this person, put their ads on my website in exchange for, building it for me for free. And it was just a few pages, etc. And I launched my website into Traffic Swarm the first day, right? The first day that I got it. So I spent 2.5 months waiting for this website. I launched it into Traffic Swarm. And the very first day I launched it into Traffic Swarm, I burned through 1,700 of my credits, which was literally like 15% of all my credits, which was literally like, 2.5 weeks of my life, right? So I just watched 2.5 weeks of my life like disappear, and I didn't have a single solitary lead. Well, here's the reason why. My website took like 85 steps before you get to an opt-in page, and I wanted you to read the entire history of the wellness industry, everything about Pharmanex, every trend in the world. I wanted you to read like 42 pages before you got the chance to become my lead. And so, of course, there was not a single solitary lead I generate. And all I remember is thinking to myself, well, that didn't work. And, what's next? And here's the magical, amazing thing. This is why we can't possibly ever understand how our success is really even going to come, or how all the pieces play together. But what happened was, because I spent 2.5 months clicking in that traffic exchange, I actually started to learn marketing, because I started to see all these other websites, right? And I started to notice which websites did I actually want to opt into and which ones did I think sucked. And after 2.5 months of looking at all these other websites and all these other people trying to advertise to me and get me to opt in and all these things, I kind of got an idea for which websites I liked and which ones I didn't. So what I did was I went over to this software, Xsite Pro, and I spent $200 buying this website software, and I decided I was just going to build my own web page. And so I built the most basic website you could imagine. It was just a single blank page, no coloration, no nothing. And at the top, I put a headline. Discover, the most disruptive technology and how to monopolize $1 trillion industry, or something like that. Because I learned, well, these headline things, I like these. And then I had like 6 paragraphs of content underneath it talking about, my pitch really, what they were becoming a lead for. And then I had like 6 different options for them to, fill information for them to fill out to become a lead, right? I wanted their name, their email, their address, their city, their state, their question. I mean, all this crap. I don't know why, their phone number. And then boom, they could click the submit button. And the very first day that I launched that website in Traffic Swarm, I generated 9 leads, my friends. 9 leads. And I'll tell you right now that those 9 leads were still to this day, I was happier. I literally felt more gratitude and happiness and motivation and inspiration from those 9 leads than I feel if I have like $1 million product launch nowadays. Like I literally have less feeling of like, oh, that's amazing and cool and my life's going to change over $1 million product launch than I did with 9 leads. Those 9 leads were so life-changing, I can't even express it to you. But it was the proof I needed. It was all the proof I needed that I was on the right track, that this was going somewhere, that I was going in the right direction. It was the biggest breadcrumb I had gotten that far, and I thought to myself, if I've got leads, then I know one day I will be making money, because as long as I have leads and I can call them and introduce my business, one day, damn it all, I'm going to make some money. And in the first 2.5 weeks, I closed 1 person into my business. I was probably generating on average 8 or 9 leads a day. And then all my credits ran out. But I closed 1 person into my business, and that 1 person actually bought the top package in my company at the time. It was $4,500, and because he did that, I hit the bonus pool, and I actually got an $1,800 check. And that $1,800 check was the first breath of fresh air that I had breathed since the entire time I had started this. And it was like life breathed into me. I could actually eat food with that money. I could actually pay a small little rent somewhere with that money. I mean, it was life being breathed into me. And, unfortunately, at that point, the traffic swarm leads died out, and they didn't come in anymore, and I didn't close any more other people, and there was no other money. It was only that guy. But it was, like I said, the way the universe works is breadcrumbs. So I knew I was going in the right direction, and I kept at it. Well, to make a long story short, my friends, this is when I started learning marketing, and all of a sudden, through meeting some people in Traffic Swarm, I learned about the Warrior Forum, which is an internet marketing forum, and then I got on this forum and I started paying attention to all the threads, and I learned about article marketing and forum marketing and pay-per-click marketing, and I could tell you unbelievably hilarious stories. I honestly could tell you so many more stories about like what my experience was back then in those days and what I went, but for time, I've got to kind of keep it short here. But to make a longer story short, all of it sort of led up to this moment where, I wasn't really making much money. I was spinning my wheels. I was kind of confused, and I had become an affiliate for Dagan Smith. And I had sent Dagan some leads because I had started generating leads, and I was sending him those leads I was generating and getting like $1 a lead, and I was doing pretty well. I was sending him 5 leads a day, 6 leads a day, so I was making like $5 a day, $6 a day. And I managed to get Dagan Smith on the phone with me because I was one of his affiliates. And when I got him on the phone with me, I asked him something, because I had bought his ebook, and he had talked about building your own product, right? Like really creating your own product and really using that product as a way to make money up front now to fund all your advertising costs and, recruit distributors in the back end and all this different stuff, right? And so, I asked him, but Dagan, I can't make a product. Like, I'm not a leader. I don't know anything. Like, when am I going to be ready? And I'll never forget what he said to me. He said to me, you are a leader when you say you are. You are a leader when you say you are. And I got off that call with Dagan, and I actually listened. I actually just did what he told me to do. I said, well, if I'm a leader when I say I am, then guess what? I'm a leader. And when I made that choice to make my damn product, I decided off that call I was going to write my own ebook. Even though I didn't know much, right? I knew something because I had started to learn how to generate my own leads, and I knew a little bit, but I didn't know much. But I decided I'm a leader now. And when I made that commitment, it's unbelievable how the world then begins to form around you. The world molds around you once you make the commitment. That's when everything molds around you. And I made that commitment. In the next month, out of the blue, like total synchronistically, I had the biggest month in my network marketing company. I had a $2,800 check because that one guy, remember that guy I told you about that I recruited? Well, that one guy, that month he recruited somebody who came in at the $4,500 package, and I recruited one more person who came in at a $1,200 package, and because of that, I hit the bonus pool again, and because of that volume, it was like $10,000 in volume, you know, I had this check that was $2,800 for my company. And that check was like my proof for my sales page or whatever the heck I was making. And it all just kind of tied in together. But I didn't even have that proof before making the commitment that I was going to launch the product anyway. And somehow when I made the commitment that I was going to launch the product, well, lo and behold, the next month, a little bit of proof showed up that I actually was a leader. So, I mean, it's amazing how this works, my friends. But here's what happened. I spent the next 2 months of my life writing this ebook, okay? This was back in the day when we actually wrote ebooks. Nobody makes products like that anymore. Nobody spends 2 months writing books and all this stuff. But I spent 2 months. I wrote a 93-page manuscript all about how to market online for a network marketing opportunity. And then, you know, I spent pretty much the remainder of my money hiring this coach to coach me through this process, and he told me this one little piece of advice that actually made me a lot of money. He said, well, why don't you add more value to the product so that you can charge more? Why not, instead of it just being an ebook, make some videos? So I was like, ooh, of course, why not? I should do that. So I made some videos to go along with the ebook, and I created the Online MLM Secrets Mastermind course. This was my first sales funnel ever. I built a capture page for it. I created the product. I built a sales page for it. I hooked it up to a shopping cart, which at the time was PayPal, and one other one that I was using, and I went to my little list that I had developed. I had this little list of about 900 people that I had been building for the last 6 months, and I launched it to my list. And I don't have any idea what's going to happen, but I launched it to my list, and I put the product in another place, which is a special offers forum that I'll tell you about later, which is a really rabid buying community for information products at a discounted price. And so I discounted the price of it by like 75%, and I put it in that forum, and I launched it to my list, and I created a small little $500 coaching program, okay? If you can imagine this, you would have had the chance to hire me as your lifetime personal coach for $500. It's freaking hilarious. But this coach of mine said, well, you know, if you don't have a higher ticket item to offer on the back end, then you're going to miss 50% of all the money that you can potentially make. If all you have is this one product, you're going to miss 50% of all the money that you have the potential to make. So why don't you just, you know, offer yourself as a consultant or a coach and, you know, charge, you know, some money for that. And I was like, okay, here's a giant lesson about success, my friends. The successful people just say yes. When they learn something that has the ability to change their life and income, they say yes, and they do it. And so I didn't come up with a bunch of stories and excuses for why I wasn't good enough to be a coach. I just said, okay, whatever, I'll do it. And I created another little sales page for my consulting, and I offered the Online MLM Secrets personal coaching program, and it was $500 to hire Jonathan Budd as your lifetime coach. So funny to me still. So anyways, I created these two things, and I launched it to my list. And I kid you not, my friends, it's so unbelievable how unexpected our success always is. The things that we expect to be successful at are never successful. And the things that we never expect to come from, all of a sudden the success just shows up. That month, I had a $13,000 month. $13,000 is how much money I made that month. And if you can imagine the experience of a kid, 23 years old, who had been in the depths of despair, who had struggled and stressed, and nobody believed in. Nobody, okay? None of my family, nobody believed this was going to work. My parents were, when are you going to get a job? All my relatives kind of mocked it. They didn't want to have nothing to do with it. Nobody I knew believed. None of my friends believed. It was like going through this prison, this isolated, lonely island of self-torture and misery and desperation, all in the pursuit of this dream you have that you know is possible, yet it seems like reality is beating you over the head with it all the time. And finally, there's a moment where you realize that more might be possible than you ever even imagined. And it was that moment where $13,000 came in, where I said to myself, holy crap, this is kind of real. This is kind of real. And more might be possible than I can ever even realize. And my friends, that is pretty much the point of where we're at tonight. That is what tonight's about. Tonight is 100% about you having that breakthrough moment. It's about you getting to that breakthrough moment. And it's about us going through this process together, because I will tell you what, it is not fun alone. And things have come so far since those days in terms of our sophistication for how to actually do this, for what to focus on, for how to launch, for how to create sales funnels, for how to teach other people and work with other people. The time is truly now. If we're committed and we're ready, there has never been a better time to really do this. And what I didn't know at the time, but what I know now, is that I had put together my first sales funnel. That I had actually put together my first sequence of events that led to the ultimate conclusion of somebody buying something from me, or joining my network marketing business, or joining me as a client for my consulting or whatever it is I'm offering. I had put together a succinct sequence that led to that ultimate outcome. And that's what sales funnels are, okay? So we're going to get to sales funnels in just 1 second. And before we do, I need you to look at this pyramid of skill. Because what happened, my friends, was I moved from this middle place, which is where I started, which, thankfully, the factors that I've put down here, aptitude, previous experience, pure hunger, time, depth of vision, power of why, etc. Thankfully, I was born into this industry with a pure hunger. That is it. That is what I had. I didn't have previous experience. I didn't have a lot of other things, but I had a pure hunger, and I had a power of my why, and that was it. But guess what? That's all you really need. You don't actually need anything else. That's what you really need. And then what happened was I started investing my time and my hours into developing my skills. And so that 6-month period, I spent every possible waking second investing my time and attention into this. So I got to this period of having really invested 500 to 1,000 hours of my time 100% into creating these skills. And what happens is the more time you spend, as you can see here on the chart, the more time you spend, the more skill you get, right? So and the reality is that if you're in this bottom 20%, the bottom 20% of skill, here's that entire mentality. They have absolutely no skills in the industry. They refuse to grow. They're not focused on growth. They blame other people. They haven't expanded their vision. Everything to them is a lottery ticket. If I invest this money, maybe this one's going to work, like it's a lottery ticket. And I'll tell you right now, my friends, if that's where you're at, you really have no chance of being successful. The only chance that people in this category have is first acknowledging that they are truly accountable and responsible for all of the results that they've produced in their life up until this point. That's if you're right there, then that's all you got. You have to acknowledge that it's time to be responsible and accountable for every single result you've produced up in your life until this point. And once you reach that right there, you actually break out of the bottom 20% and you go into the middle 75%. But now that you've taken accountability for the results you produced in life, now it's time to really go develop your skills. So now that you've taken accountability, you go develop your skills and you begin to invest your time, your money, and your energy into developing your skills. Well, as you spend more time, your skill gets more and more and higher and higher and higher, and you begin to approach more to the top of the pyramid, the top of the pyramid of skill, right? Now, the skills we're talking about here are things like sales funnels, copywriting, traffic generation, all the things that comprise, building a business on the internet and making money online. So as you invest your time developing those skills, what I've noticed is that once you actually get to 500 hours of your time has truly been invested actually practicing and developing the skills, it's usually at that point that you're starting to make some money, right? You're getting some affiliate commissions, you're getting leads, you're signing up people in your business. Money's coming in, but it's not to the point where it's like really consistent, where you feel like you have mastery over it, where there's like this total control to actually make any amount of money you really want, right? And it's when you crack into the top 5% of skill. That means you're in the top 5% of skill when it comes to writing that Facebook ad or making that capture page or closing that person on the phone or whatever it is, that all of a sudden you get phenomenal lifestyle income in this industry. That top 5% of skill, I've calculated it here. The 5% is earning 5 to 10 grand a month. Every month, 5 to 10 grand a month, without a doubt, you can easily make that in this industry. The top 4% is earning $10,000 to $20,000 a month. $10,000 to $20,000 a month, no problem. If you're earning $10,000 to $20,000 a month right now, by my calculations, the way I kind of have built the model, you're probably in the top 4%. If you're doing $20,000 to $50,000 a month, you're in the top 3%. Probably top 3% of this industry is making somewhere between $20,000 to $50,000 a month. If you're doing $50,000 to $100,000 a month, you are in the top 2% of this industry. Top 2% of this industry of skill, because it's not money. This has to do with skill. This means you are the top 2% skilled at closing, at traffic generation, at copywriting, whatever. And if you're doing $100,000 plus a month, you are in the top 1% of skill in this industry. And this is all making money boils down to. It's not an accident. It has everything to do with your skill. How skilled are you? How much time have you invested in developing those skills? Now, the beautiful thing about this whole model is that the pyramid is actually expanding. It's expanding. There are more people flooding into the top 5% of skill than there have ever been in the history of our industry before. There are more people flooding into the middle 75% of skill than there have ever been in the history of our industry before. And there are more people leaving the bottom 20% and moving their way up into these other percentages of skill than there has ever been in the history of our industry before. And that to me is unbelievably inspiring, because it's not excluding that, I have to be in the top 5%. That doesn't exclude. It's actually inclusive, because what that means is there's an unbelievable room for you to grow into the top 5% of skill in this industry. And I'm just letting you know right now, if you want to make a livable, full-time income in this industry, and if you want to create a dream and life-changing, total fantasy income in this industry, then you've got to move yourself into the top 5% of skill. That's where your whole focus should be. It's just a matter of moving yourself up this pyramid into this top 5% of skill that is expanding more every day. I estimate there's probably at least there's probably 100,000 people, maybe more, really a tremendous amount of people that are probably making 5 to 10 grand a month and more, really just in this industry, probably even more. I mean, it's expanding massively. So it's never been growing as fast as it is, my friends. And really, what you need to do is just move yourself up it. So real quick, Vince Reed, one of my students who mastered this equation, so you guys know, we've really, not having anything to do with us, because I'll tell you right now, No trainer ever makes you successful. No coach ever makes you successful. No other person, period, ever makes you successful. There's no credit I will ever be able to take for all of the success by my students and by all the people who have learned from me and who have gone on to doing big things, like Vince Reed, who's making over $1 million this year. Vince started, with me, learning from me, absolute bare nothing in this industry, no skill, no previous experience, nothing. And this year he's doing over $1 million in his business. Okay, there's really no credit I can take for that. All of the work Vince did. What I need you guys to understand is that you have to do the work. All I can do is show up and create the framework, the context, the structure, and the teachings and the lessons. I can provide the path. And if you actually do the work and you go down that path and you actually listen to every damn thing I say, because here's what I've noticed about my most successful students, and I've got a ton of them, guys, who do a lot of money, okay? I've probably got 5 to 10 people who have started from absolute scratch and are now multi-million-dollar income earners per year with me, which, not even a lot of network marketing companies who do $100 million a year have that, right? I've probably got, dozens and dozens and dozens who started from scratch with me who, earn hundreds of thousands of years and hundreds of thousands a year and hundreds to thousands, which probably earn some form of a life-changing income, whether it's $1,000 a month to $5,000 a month, whatever it is. And all I did, okay, was provide the path. I walked the path previously. I went and I pioneered and I gritted it out and I suffered it out and I figured out all the pit holes and I walked the damn path. And I came back and I said, hey guys, look, you can walk this path too. And if you walk the path just like this, here's what's possible. Here's the results that are possible. And I laid that path out. And all these people are the ones who freaking walked it. They're the ones who committed and walked it. And here's what I've also noticed. They're the ones who really listen. A lot of times, we don't listen. But if I tell somebody, like one of my coaching clients or one of my consulting clients, if I say, hey, look, here's what I think you should do. Build this site, make it like this, have the product be this, and just go do this. And they actually just go do it. Those are the people who make the most money. And then later on, they'll come in and they'll innovate with all their own ideas and all their own things. But I found that if they actually just listen to what their mentors are telling them and they just go do it without questioning it, without saying, well, I don't want to, and blah, blah, but if they just go do it, a lot of times, those are the most successful students that I've ever worked with. So, I hope, are you guys getting value out of this so far? Raise your hand if you're getting a lot of value, just so I know that, this is really helpful and, it's really, illuminating the path for you and you're picking up gems and tidbits that are going to help you. Okay, beautiful. So I will continue on, my friends. Everything is your sales funnel, and I do mean everything, okay? So here's what it looks like. Here's what I mean by sales funnel. It's literally the entire process by which a sale is made using technology and using automated systems on the internet. So here's what it may look like. You have an ad, right? So at the start, this little picture over here is the ad. And the ad leads to the capture page, right? So the ad, the whole purpose of the ad is to get a click to go to this capture page. The whole purpose of this capture page is to get a lead to go to this sales page, right? The whole purpose of the sales page is to make the sale, right? Well, once you make the sale, guess what? You can also sell more things, right? And that may be upsells, which you guys have probably seen before. And the upsell can lead to another upsell. And after the upsell process is over, maybe a week later, you call that person on the phone, which could lead to, a close or another sale on the phone, whether it be for your business, your opportunity, or for your consulting, or for whatever the heck it is. So this is what I mean by sales funnel. It's a process by which we engineer an ultimate outcome that is your leads, your traffic, your visitors, the advertising you're doing for your own business on the internet, turning into sales for your product, distributors in your company, or clients for your consulting or coaching. And obviously you can sell a lot more stuff than that. But that's generally, when we look at our industry, what's really contained within it. We're product creators. We'll create our own information product, which is really easy to do. We've got a business opportunity, or we're doing some type of coaching or consulting, or we're a speaker and we're getting booked on other people's stages and doing speaking. And pretty much, that's the whole... That's really where I focus when it comes to sales funnels. Now, you can have sales funnels for any darn thing you want, but, what the focus of this and kind of what we're up to is we want to bring people from start to finish creating their very first sales funnel, actually selling their own very first product or their opportunity, right? So you start with a product or a business opportunity or a coaching or consulting package you have of some kind, and this is what we're going to be developing together over the next 90 days and all these different things, and boom, we develop the sales funnel, we build the sales funnel that actually will sell it for you. And it's really until you have a sales funnel, it's not possible to take income on the internet. What I didn't realize as little Jonathan Budd that limited all my income was that how I was earning money was a very small sales funnel, right? All I really had was capture page. And when I got a lead, I called that lead and I closed them into a network marketing business. Well, I mean, that was working to an extent, albeit a lot slower than I had wanted. And it wasn't until I actually built a sales funnel from start to finish where I could actually advertise a capture page, have a sales page, sell my product, and then sell another product that literally the very first damn month I launched the thing, I made $13,000. And it was like this light bulb moment went off in my head where I was like, why the hell am I spending all my time and energy trying to get leads to, close into some other business or whatever it is that doesn't pay me anywhere close to what this has potential to pay me right now. And it was like this light bulb moment went off in my head where I saw the money and I saw how the money actually flows. And ever since that month, I was full-time in the industry and I was earning $5,000 to $10,000 a month for the next 6 months from selling my own products. But, the story never ends there because where I really had my big breakthrough actually from $5,000 to $10,000 a month to $50,000 a month was joining an opportunity. And, but I couldn't have had the success in that opportunity unless I had had the success actually building my list and selling the products. It's really weird. And that's why I say that you can't ever predict how success is going to work for you. You can't possibly predict it. I could say, well, first thing you need to do is get some leads, and then you need to build a product, and then you need to build an opportunity. But the truth is that nobody really knows what it's going to look like for you. Success is always unpredictable in a way. What it looked like for me, my experience was once I actually created my own sales funnel, that's when I actually could afford to really spend money on advertising and start generating leads and building a list. And once I really could start building a list, that's when I actually had the power to make substantial money. And once I built my list to like 6,000, 7,000 people, and once I rolled out a new opportunity to my pre-existing list of 6,000, 7,000 people, all of a sudden within 60 days I went from nothing to a $50,000 plus per month income. And that's what happened. You know what I mean? I could have never predicted that that's how it would have went, but that's just what happened. So it's kind of crafted my experience to know that the most important thing we can really be doing right now, guys, this is it. Take this freaking note. The most important thing we can be doing is building our very first sales funnel that builds our list and pays for the advertising costs of building our list. That is pretty much what I've come to learn is the most important thing you can do when starting to go from nothing to $5,000 to $10,000 a month. And once you've got that sales funnel set up to actually build a list, right, you can afford to go out there and advertise to build a list, and you've got consistent, steady leads coming in every single day. Once that's set up, now you truly have an automated income engine, and you can introduce business opportunities, you can introduce more products, you can introduce coaching and higher ticket items that you may give your own prospects, and all of a sudden you can see your income begin to take leapfrog moments. But the whole core of it revolves around really setting up a funnel that can pay for lead generation of its own. Does that make sense? Raise your hand if you get that. Raise your hand if that makes sense for you right there, just so I know I'm on the right path here. Because that's my goal, right? Our whole goal with this is that you have a sales funnel complete that actually pays for all your lead generation, and you're actually building a list on complete autopilot so that you've got this asset in the future that you can sell anything you want to, right? You can sell anything. And it has the potential to be really big. Just like once my list got to 6,000, 7,000 people, all of a sudden, I had the potential of making $50,000 a month. But I didn't have that potential before my list was, 6,000, 7,000 people. So, in any case, I'm going to keep going here. So everything is your sales funnel. Now, I'm going to quickly go through this because the reality is a lot of this is what we're going to be discussing in this kind of mastermind group that we're putting together. The name of the mastermind group is Sales Funnel Millions. We're calling it the Sales Funnel Millions sort of mastermind group. And a lot of what we're going to be going over is kind of what product you create first and all that sort of stuff and focusing on it. But typically, here's how the product chain actually works and flows. It's easiest to create a customer with a smaller front-end product. So that smaller product is going to be anywhere from $7 to $47, right? So if you have a small product, which could be a webinar, it could be an ebook, it could be a course, it could be all sorts of things, it's easy to create a customer from the $7 to $47 range, right? But this only is going to account for a very small percentage of the total revenue that your business is possible of making. Once you've got a product like that, then you can add in a bigger product, right? So if you made your first product, it's not really a big jump to make your second product. So when you make your second product, make it bigger. Make that product anywhere from $97 to $497, and that's typically going to account for about 30 to 50% of your total revenue is going to come from that product. And lastly, you're going to add in your top products. So this is how a really good product business model works, right? You start with a small front-end product to create the customer easy. Once you've created the trust and once you've created the transaction, now you can offer products that are more expansive, more extensive, and offer a lot more value, and you can command a higher price point. And the easiest top-tier product to offer is really your personal time, because what people are always going to need is really your time. They're going to want your energy, they're going to want your attention, they're going to want your skill, your value, your knowledge, and they're going to want to work with you personally. And working with you personally is really, as Perry Marshall put it, there's no faster way to put money in the bank than selling your time. And, Perry Marshall was one of the first people to teach me that. And back in the day, we're giving you guys right now the opportunity, the invitation is to really join us in creating the skills that you need to be able to build a six-figure income in this industry any damn time you want. Any freaking thing that you go into, you know how to create a sales funnel for to blow it up. Do you want to recruit distributors? No problem. Do you want to sell products? No problem. Do you want to be a coach, a consultant? No problem, because you've mastered the actual process of creating a sales funnel to sell anything you want. And this is truthfully the skill that the six-figure and seven-figure and top income earners in this industry have and possess, and it's what you need to have and possess if you really want to be there with them. And who we want to speak to is the people who are just flat out ready to get it done, and you are pumped up and potentially excited about really working with Mark and I personally and submitting your application to be a part of this really unique opportunity and mastermind group. So there's really 5 parts. I'm going to go over the 5 parts real quick, and then we'll let you submit your application because, obviously the space is limited, and we want to give the people who are excited about this opportunity the chance to do it ASAP. So part 1 is Sales Funnel Millions Live. This is the actual live workshop where for 3 days, you and an intimate group and Mark and I and many other top people in this industry are going to be working together live, okay, to literally create your sales funnel. This is a boot camp that you're going to go through where by the time you leave this boot camp, your sales funnel is done, okay? Your product, your order page, your order cart, you are ready to take money. You are ready to actually go out there, advertise, and have money flowing directly into your bank account by the time you leave this workshop. That is the entire premise, and that is the entire guarantee of the whole program. And this isn't just a workshop. It's actually a 90-day challenge leading up to the workshop where we're going to be working hand in hand over the next 90 days on all the different pieces you need and then putting it together live at the workshop, and you are leaving with your damn sales funnel complete, ready to take in money, ready to build you a six-figure income on the internet. So day one, we've called creating your six-figure sales funnel, and you're literally going to create the sales funnel that will bring you financial freedom at this event. So on day one alone, we'll be working side by side with you as we walk you through exactly what you need to be doing right now to profit on the internet from your own business, following your own passions. And this is what I've been talking about. It's really creating a sales funnel. And this is what I believe to be the only true long-term sustainable model. Everything else is just pittering around. If you're going to send some traffic to an affiliate, yeah, that works for a while, but it's all pittering around. It's not until you really set this up that you've got a long-term sustainable business built around you yourself. You're literally going to follow our instructions step by step to create your own powerful webinar sales funnel that we'll implement right at the event to start making you money. And you're going to gain all of our best secret strategies that we've used over and over that simply work to make money appear like magic. So this is everything we've learned from $17 million of proof, right? Selling over $17 million of stuff. We're going to teach you the exact formulas, what to say, how to say it, what to sell, how to sell it, where to put it. I mean, you're literally going to go through to find, what's the expression? Fine tooth and comb and nail, whatever the heck it is. We're going through all of that like with a masterful and meticulous eye over the next 90 days. So we'll be sharing with you pretty much exactly what you need to do to build your sales funnel and walking you through it. Day two is accomplishing success live. So we're actually going to get your six-figure funnel done on day two. So inside the second day of the event, we're literally going to accomplish setting you up 100%. And you're going to do that by being in supportive, interactive groups, okay, so that everyone is accountable and everyone is actually getting the help that you need. And you're going to be parroting groups the entire time, my friends. So if you're actually a part of this, there's no bailing out. I just want you to know that right now. You're not just accountable to yourself, you're accountable to your group. So when you commit to this, you're committing that you are going to do it, that this damn funnel is getting built and you are going to be ready to make money and take money and go to six figures by the time we're done with this. So you're going to work with teams, coaches, and even one-on-one to get the help you need finishing your sales funnel live that day. Hint, you'll accomplish in 8 hours what would have took you 3 months if you were trying to do this by yourself. We will actually be recording your webinar presentation live together, and with the help of the group, you will be ready to sell your product that night on the internet. And this is something that I personally haven't seen done before in any boot camps that have ever been offered. You're going to get the personal help you need with every part of your sales funnel, including hooking it up to a payment gateway to accept money now from the internet. And this is truly the moment when buying can actually happen and you can realize the dream of automated money actually flowing into your banking account. And then on day three, we're going to get the cash flowing through your six-figure funnel now. So what this is all about is how to actually turn on the cash register. In part one of the day, we're going to walk everyone through an ad creation process for their new sales funnel live, so that while you're literally at the event, you can get your first traffic and leads flowing into your funnel while you're at the event. You could literally make a sale by the end of this first day after this process in day one. You're going to create a blueprint to go home with the exact steps to follow to scale your sales funnel traffic from thousands of dollars a month to tens of thousands of dollars a month. And this blueprint is going to be your actual blueprint to scale your business to multiple six figures. So that means like, okay, well, after you master Facebook traffic, where do you go to next? And what's after that? What's after that? We're going to give you the whole blueprint. And part two of Sales Funnel Millions is the pre-event coaching program. So this is the actual coaching program that you will be guided through leading up to the event. And Mark is actually leading every single part of this by completely himself. We're not bringing in any other trainers for this. This is all going to be intimate with Mark and myself, so that you're literally getting, us. You're getting the best of the best working with you the entire time. So you're going to be guided through our easy Sales Funnel Millions pre-event curriculum so that you're fully ready to maximize your time with Mark and I personally at the event. And the pre-event coaching with Mark is designed as a full experience in and of itself, and it's actually crucial. You really have to do it, because what we're doing in the pre-event coaching is we're actually building the pieces that you're going to put together at the event. So you're going to be going through all these pieces, building them in the pre-event coaching program, and then when you get to the event, we're just putting the finishing touches on all of them, putting them together, and everybody is going to be high-fiving, freaking giving each other, champagne glasses, because you're walking out of that darn event with your sales funnel done. So here's when the unique Sales Funnel Millions pre-event coaching modules are set to start. We've actually pushed these dates back because we're going to give everybody who is actually going to join tonight, and everybody who's going to apply tonight, and everybody who's going to be a part of this with us tonight, we're actually pushed it back a week so that it can start with you not missing a thing. And there's actually a call and a Q&A call after each module. So there's really 4 main modules, and then after each of the modules, Mark is doing a Q&A call to just answer your questions and make sure you set everything up and just totally just walk you through everything and really be with you in a personal and intimate fashion and session. So part 3 is you're actually going to have a personal coach. So not only are we meeting live, not only are you going through the pre-event curriculum, which really is, you're going to be meeting with your mastermind groups and actually accomplishing each of the pieces leading up to the live event, but you're also going to have a personal coach from our team, okay? And this is just to make sure that you have absolutely every bit of accountability, personal help, guidance. You have somebody there to answer your questions and reach out to when you need them. So you're going to get 4 60-minute personal coaching sessions via Skype video with a custom paired coach to match your needs, plus 16 email coaching sessions and 2 emergency 15-minute coaching sessions. So that, my friends, is obviously priceless. The 4th part is really our license rights program, and I'm not going to get into this now because you'll really have the chance to learn more about this if it's right for you when we're interviewing you and when you're going through the interview process. But really, suffice to say that this is the part of the program that allows you to make money now, because we really have a goal for you to actually make $5,000 by the time you get to the event in 90 days. That's our goal, is that you make $5,000 by the time you get to the event in 90 days. And so the way that we've done that is we're actually giving you license rights to our most popular products that already are completely done and have Sales Funnel done and built for them, and you're actually going to be able to go advertise them in the next 90 days and keep 90% of all of the money. So we're essentially giving you all of the profits on any sales you make for pre-existing sales funnels that are already done for our best programs and products that we've ever created. So that we'll discuss more with you later, but suffice to say, this is literally an income opportunity in and of itself. I mean, literally, think about it. If we give you license rights to our best programs ever, and you can sell those for the rest of your life, do you think any people you know for the rest of your life might want some of the best training out there about how to market and sell things online and grow their business online? And now you're keeping 100% of the profits when they buy that from your link? It's a no freaking brainer. So just the license rights alone are really invaluable to you. It could be an extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month, or it could be an extra $5,000 a month to you. Who knows? It really just matters where you take it. So pretty much you're going to get our most successful and popular brands ever in the license rights program, Get Traffic 3.0 and Launch Formula, plus some more. And that's really just the start. And again, we're going to have a little instant cash coaching series to get this off the ground. So we're going to be doing 3 classes to show you how to go market these license rights right now. So you can literally get sales coming in right now. And this is our plan to actually get you to $5,000 cash in your pocket before we meet at Sales Funnel Millions Live. So the total program content you can see right here. We're estimating it to be about $65,480 in value, which obviously, we're discounting super heavily for everybody who we accept into the private mastermind group. But the reason why people fail
is really that they don't have support and they don't have the community and they don't have the accountability that they need to keep going. So as you can see throughout this entire process, what have we done? We've built that support. We've built that community. We've built that accountability because that's what you really need, right? And once you've got the pure guidance and direction, it all comes down to support in order to get there. And one of the things that we recognized would add so much value to this was actually Jim Bunch's Ultimate Game of Life 90-Day Challenge. So what we did was we threw in a 90-day challenge where you're going to work with one of the world's greatest transformational coaches to actually get clear on all the areas of your life that may not be working. What's not working in your finances? What's not working in your health? What has got you distracted? And just clear all the clutter so that you can truly focus on what's important to you and what you really need to be doing and what's really going to actually take you to your next steps right now. And so the 90-Day Ultimate Game of Life Challenge is unbelievable. It's one of the most transformational experiences you've ever had. Or you ever will have. All of the world's top leaders go to Jim, and this is also included in this private mastermind that we're doing. So essentially, my friends, here's where you go to apply. We're looking for about 25 potential people in this deal. That's in addition to the 40 people that we already have. So, it's a pretty intimate mastermind. This is going to be a small group. We're all going to be working together in this boot camp pretty intimately. So people are going to be able to ask questions and raise hands, and there's going to be teams that form, and there's really going to be leadership and leaders walking around working with groups and people individually. So where you go is salesfunnelmillions.com/private. salesfunnelmillions.com/private. And this is really why I actually want to hand it over to Mark, and he's going to come on and he's going to walk you through and walk us through this application. Because, if you're interested and you're ready to really commit and you want your six-figure sales funnel done, and you recognize that going through a process like this with Mark and myself over the next 90 days is the guaranteed way to do it, right? It's the guaranteed way to do it. This is the guaranteed way to get it done. We really want you to be the right person, and we want you to, answer the questions to the best of your ability, and we really want you to understand what they mean. So, Mr. Hoverson, I think this might be the time, my friend, that we should probably go to salesfunnelmillions.com/private, and, you should really share with people, the process for applying.
It is showtime, Jonathan. JB, can you give me organizer status and show my screen on this puppy?
Catlin.
Oh, Catlin, can we do it? Because I've got a couple real key. Catlin is making all this.
So you should be ready, my friend. You should be organizer and ready to present.
All right, you guys are troopers. Jonathan, it is 10:42 on the East Coast, and we've got a faithful group of people. Raise your hand if you guys can see my screen okay. It says salesfunnelmillions.com. I'm going to put in the question area, or Catlin, can you type out to everybody the private/application so they go straight here, and then I want to walk them through it real quick. But raise your hand if you can see my screen okay. salesfunnelmillions.com/private. All right, we see you guys. Good to see you guys. Lots of Michelles. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to walk you through the application because we have 25 spots. I actually am personally interviewing all 25 people. JB, we should share this story for like 60 seconds because it's worth it.